Hello, friends.
Hi.
Oh, well, coming to you from our new home in Viroqua, Wisconsin.
Yep. It's been amazing so far. Everything that we've done, not just the moving part of it, which is a lot, but all of the different things we've gotten to experience. There is a sense of bounty here that we haven't experienced before, I don't think.
That has been our word, I think, to describe this whole experience thus far has been bounty. And it's very interesting for us. As we've said in a couple of other videos recently, our time in Hawaii had some beautiful, amazing, bountiful experiences. But we went there wanting to do the 100% project, thinking we would find a certain sort of bounty there.
Yeah.
That the reality for a lot of people there is that they're really, really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And to find that 4 hours away, right here in southern Wisconsin, something was happening that embodies what we were hoping to find or create in Hawaii.
It's crazy because we sit down to almost every meal, and I would say it's at least 75 to 90% local / organic or foraged, and it doesn't take any effort at all really on our parts. So completely the opposite of our Hawaii experience. If you've been following us for a while, I'm sure it will be fun for you to kind of see as we go along. Okay, here they go to Hawaii. Oh, it's not happening the way they thought. Now here we are here, and we look at our plates, and it's just like, oh my gosh.
There is food in the garden, there is food in the lakes, there is food in the forest. Let's hold hands and give thanks. Oh, the bounty the earth she provides. Oh, the bounty the earth she provides. All right, everybody enjoy.
Oh.
Gosh.
The girls keep saying that.
Yeah.
This one's 90%.
Yeah,
This one's 95%.
yeah, what is this one? Liliana. Oh, wait, but the sea salt is from someplace else. And it's just really, really amazing. And that is happening not only because of the location of where we are, the different type of forest that we're in with a lot more things to forage. The growing season is longer, and there is, at least where we are located right here, a huge movement of people who are really concerned about their food, their land, their community, their neighbors, and that just adds to the sense of bounty.
This county has gone from one of the most poverty-stricken counties in Wisconsin, and it's still not super high on the income level, but it's climbed up, and it's done that largely through the food movement here. And that food movement, to me, creates a model of what it could look like in the rest of the world, really.
Yeah, this is so different from, for example, when we were back in Menominee, Wisconsin, just a few hours north of here. We'd go out into the farm fields, and I think there's even a video of you in the past, just looking at the soil. And the soil is just very rich here, especially with all of the organic farming that's going on. I'm not saying everywhere is organic here, but there is a care of that soil. And as we go along, science is starting to find out how important this microcosm of soil is for our own microbiome. And so that's amazing. It's just the way people are choosing and making these decisions, whether it's, so the CSA next door is solar, and their whole barn is just solar panels on their roof.
Basically, that whole CSA runs off-grid,
Yeah.
except for some petroleum that they use in some of their vehicles. There's, I think, one electric vehicle, and wow, our house is probably 75% off-grid, and if we put in some solar, would easily
That would
get
be a really awesome
to.
thing.
We'll have to show you this house at some point.
Let us move in a little tiny
Yeah.
longer. That's my perfectionist side going like, oh my gosh.
We learned that it's a zero energy home. It's this really neat concept that we had no
Don't
idea.
understand yet.
Okay.
Completely.
But
Well,
no, I want to just quick
Yes,
riff off
please,
of that
please.
because I do remember I did that video and I reached down into the soil of a monocrop conventional cornfield or soybean field This was back up in Menominee, and it was literally a gray dust in my hand. Gray dust. The only thing that fed nutrients into those plants was the fertilizers and petrochemical
The additives
stuff that they put
in.
into the field. We're here, people from all walks of life. I've seen people with political signs and different political signs here, and also they're organic farms. And so there's across the board here this realization that different farming practices can keep the soil alive, and like you said, that's good for everybody.
Well, another thing I wanted to point out while we're just talking about farming is if you look at a map of this area down here, maybe, cue the map,
Yeah.
you will see that a lot of the land is in these steep ravines and valleys, and the valleys flood. And it's not the greatest place to build and or to do any kind of domestic agriculture. So they're left just as they are. Mostly there is some logging, not like up north. And what's neat is to see on the map that it's kind of 50-50. There's farmland and then there's the forests. And it's amazing because the CSA that's next door that we belong to, they have 300 shares, which is essentially 300 people or families that they are feeding on their, what do they have, 21 acres maybe?
On that one farm.
On
That's
the
just
one farm.
one farm.
So imagine, when you were talking about it being a model, imagine if we took some of those vast soybean fields and turned them into, I think of it as like regenerative farming. Let's regenerate that land somehow and start using it that way to produce this kind of quality food that we're getting. I feel so good on this food. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's eye-opening that on that map, and it looks like about 50% of the land is wild, but if you fold out those valleys, it's actually going to be much more, but let's just say 50%.
Sure.
Somehow here we have a community of people that has an extremely high level of food security. They're providing almost all of their own food, and they are doing it leaving 50% of the land natural. This contrasts with the mega conventional monocrop farming
of gray dust
that you think about in some of the states in the middle of the nation,
like the grain belt,
where we've chosen a different way.
Which is not to say that there aren't people in those places trying to make a new model. There's always people trying to shift things, which is great.
But it's tough because, go ahead.
No, please.
Because of the way that we've set up our systems,
our
which
whole
are money-based.
system. Exactly. And that's the thing with a lot of this sustainable farming and agriculture, the CSAs, they're not necessarily trying to make money. It isn't about that. They're trying to feed people good and nourishing food.
Yeah.
At least that's the way our neighbors are. They work so hard.
So hard.
But that isn't to say that if we pick up that model, that it couldn't become successful and lucrative. 300 shares. That's a lot of people eating good food, and they're supporting the farmers, and then the farmers are supporting their health, the health of their share members. It's a really neat cycle.
Does somebody have a knife? I do. I'm going to pick myself up a nail.
Hi. So these are all the seconds from the CSA, meaning if you can see, there's just been places where they've gotten damaged or they're too small, and the CSA wants to give their members really the cream of the crop, but they don't want food to go to waste either. And so what we're doing is just going through harvesting whatever seconds we find, and then we're going to probably make some melon fruit leather, and then we can share it all around with our neighbors and the CSA, and it's a great way to not have food go to waste. And I wanted to say that some supermarkets now and local co-ops are actually offering, I call it like the ugly food.
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
So don't be afraid to get something that doesn't look pretty. It still then stays in the food stream and doesn't become waste. And if nothing else, if it's really bad, if we had animals like pigs or chickens, then we could give them some of this. So it's really nice to have things that we can still use and share.
And sometimes we have a snack right while we're picking. I mean, who can help it? They look so good. And they are.
Wow, look at
Let's see
that.
if this is-
Beautiful.
Let's see if this one's right.
What is this?
It's a yellow watermelon. I'm really excited.
Oh, this is all organic. You can just eat the rind
Yep.
right from the field. Well done. Wow. You gonna haul for us, Liliana? What's the question?
This is edible.
Is this an edible nightshade?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I love edible nightshade.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So we're gonna ID it by it almost always has these eaten up leaves, and it has the black berries. They should taste like little miniature tomatoes almost. What do you think?
I love these.
Yeah, this is one that in the wild food literature is
They
often
taste
just
kind of licoricey.
yeah, it's often just labeled as toxic, but the green ones actually have some solanine, I think, which is a toxin we wouldn't want to eat. But the black ones are beautiful and delicious.
I think I might accidentally chewed on a green one, but then spat it out.
That's fine.
Because I think I saw one come out of my mouth.
Girls, what is special about these young, organic, right from the field watermelons that we never knew about before?
You can eat the rind. And not only can you just eat it, it is tender and good.
Crispy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just crisps apart.
It tastes like sweet cucumber.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
I wanted to talk a little bit about the Amish because the Amish
Yeah.
down here are also part of that. They're extremely cooperative and friendly, and they have a lot of different things that also add to the sense of food security down here.
I feel like they're the cornerstone of why food works here because they have a very different way of life. You've got people that are living largely off-grid, often with no electricity at all, and they are growing almost all of their own food, and again, food for others.
Yeah.
We went around with a friend and he introduced us to a few Amish families, and now we have a place where we go and we get eggs from this family, and we can get fresh cream and fresh
Butter.
milk and butter from this family, and fresh yogurt from this other
And then
family.
in general, we're also picking up whatever they've had as a surplus from their garden. If we don't have enough of something from the CSA, we really want more tomatoes, and we're like, oh, okay, a couple tomatoes, a couple of melons, whatever it is. And the amount of food that we have to process, maybe we can show you a little bit. There's just so much. It's
So
amazing.
much. And again, these people are not money driven. They charge ridiculously low amounts of money for the food that you're getting. And somehow this is working. So noticing that we can strive for money to then, it doesn't make sense for these people to do this. They should just monocrop and sell corn for ethanol. But instead, they're growing food for people. They're doing it in a way that's friendlier to the environment, and they're making a good living off of it. So could this be an example of how things could be done differently? I know I've got a little friend.
Okay, so we've been here feasting off the bounty of the land, feeling so amazing, and we want to share that with you. I wish that I could just take all the yummy meals and the sense of community that we have and give it to each one of you. But I realize also that everybody has a different sense of what makes them happy. And so we want to somehow give you this sense of bounty and this sense of plenty.
And I think that one of the first things is to talk about the priorities that we set in life, because we started out together, and our priority was love. We just wanted to be in love, and we set off.
We still are.
Wildly. We set off in our truck with to go up north, and we had just a little bit of money and wanted to buy some land way back in the woods, a couple of acres, and set up a teepee. And
yeah, we're like the classic hippies in a tent kind of a thing, sort of, only not really hippies.
No drugs or anything, but
anyway.
But anyway, our priority has never been to make money. It has been focused on other things. And it reminds me a little bit of the agriculture around here, where people have said, this isn't about making money, this is about growing good food. And then a side benefit is that a lot of the people do well for themselves, and often really well for themselves here. But that's not the main goal. And I think when we set a priority in our life, then our life starts to revolve around that priority.
I think it's really important to realize and to remind yourself that you get a choice, okay? You get a choice of your perspective. You get a choice of what you think of something, and you get a choice then of what you want to choose as your priority. And it doesn't have to be what our standard cultural model is. It doesn't have to be, the American dream or the,
There's lots of ways, right? As we were saying.
There's so many different ways to live and to be. And it could be that love is your priority. It could be family is your priority. It could be recently that you've decided that health is your priority. Maybe you are like, hey, gosh darn it, my body was always working great for me, and then all of a sudden, I guess something's gone on. And so there's all sorts of different priorities to choose. But having a priority, knowing what it is, and making decisions from that is what's going to give you, I think, and what's given us the most joy.
It's been really interesting because we prioritized other things. We look at our friends that have much, let's say, greater wealth monetarily. Mm-hmm. And last year, I don't think we ever really showed people in the video our living conditions in Hawaii. Because, I mean, part of me just didn't want to scare people. It was pretty small and intense. But now, almost miraculously, we find ourselves in a really beautiful space, surrounded by this bounty. How did this happen? But the key is that in Hawaii, in that really rough space, and here, there was always a core of joy and connection and love, because that's the thing that we fostered. That's the river that has run through our whole experience, or various experiences that we're having, because we made that the priority. And that is why we could be happy there and happy here. And I will be honest though and say that externals are helping here. I feel really great here.
Yeah, it's nice. Yes, absolutely. I'd be curious what some of you, for you, if you know what your priority is and how that has informed your decisions in life, and if that's given you a sense of joy, or even just there's something about just having that stability of like, yes, this is the thing that I am following. It's the wind that carries my sail. So I'd be curious to hear that. That's probably just one question. I'll probably ask you a lot more.
I'm glad you put questions into all these.
I love to hear it.
We love it when people answer. Yeah, that's special for us. So, go ahead.
I was going to say another thing.
To create this kind of bounty?
Well, the bounty that we're experiencing. And
yeah.
I would say that trying to source your food consciously, because part of what is so important to us is to feel healthy, to feel nourished, so that we can spend that time together fostering adventures and things like that. So saying, yeah, I want to eat good food, and then having to maybe sleuth it out even. You might have to ask around. Maybe there's a farmer's market always, like half an
The
hour
big
away.
cities have awesome,
Oh, yeah.
huge farmers markets usually.
Yeah.
Go there,
There's
check it out.
community garden spaces. So the key is to decide, yes, I want to have good food, be conscious and aware about it, and then start looking around for it. And remember, you can always create what you're looking for. You can be the person that forges ahead and says, you know what? There is no buying club in my town. God darn it, I know at least 3 of my neighbors who would be a part of an organic buying club. I'm going to start that up. And before you know it, you are creating not only a source of good food, but a community of people who care about that. And then it's all about the networking.
Give them the walnut to kill worms.
Oh, he wants to play.
Remember too that you can grow your own food. And it was really nice. In that the last video, I think, two videos ago.
Maybe.
Yeah, a few of you chimed in and said, in the city, you can grow. You can do container gardening. You can sprout under a grow lamp. There are always ways to grow some of your own food. Any of your own food that you grow, you know the source. And that is powerful in many, many ways. Health-wise, psychologically, and just the way things taste.
So speaking of all of this, being conscious and the bounty, we are very aware in our daily lives, you might not know this, about how all of you as this family of our channel, I really think of you as family, are part of our bounty. It isn't solely just, oh yes, you're supporting us monetarily. It's, as we were talking about, this sense of sharing, of supporting not even just us, but each other in comments, and this amazing sense of, yeah, if I have something good, I want to share that.
It's kind of mind-blowing because as we're in a new place, a lot of people say, so what do you do for a living? And what we're saying right now is we run a YouTube channel. And the next question is, well, how do you make money off of that? Well, we don't run any ads. We're not getting it from, it's completely by people who just choose to support us willingly. And that blows people's minds, I think, that we, as a family of 4, can basically be living in a gift culture experience where we gift out our videos and our courses right now, and people gift back. And wow, again, a model for how the
I
world
was just going to say, that could be another model.
could look. Yeah. And then that you touched on, because it's a literal everyday thing that our family talks about. You know, I read comments to the family, and sometimes those bring us to tears.
We cry.
And so there's a bounty that's more important than money, that is the connection that you share with us. So thank you for that.
I gotta ask one more question, which is that I want to hear from all of you, what gives you a sense in your life of bounty? And just, that could be whatever. It doesn't have to be food related necessarily, but what makes you feel plentiful? I just would like to hear. I'm so curious as to what is filling you up and what is filling up the world right now, because the world needs a filling up of joy and bounty. And so I think we should just share that.
More the better. All right. Love you all. Thank you for being part of this with us. So grateful. This is a real sweet couple that lives right here in the area. It's Elmer on the left and Eileen on the right. Okay, so you, instead of eating some ice cream from the store, what are you having here that Mom just made?
Alright, I am having frozen cantaloupe all blended up from the CSA with maple syrup and cream from the Amish neighbor.
Maple syrup's from our trees.
Yeah, I believe so. So it's 100% local.
Okay,
Okay, I'm gonna try this.
Yeah? Hey Lily, you have an apple? That is a weird looking apple.
Oh, it's a watermelon.
What? It's a watermelon?
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness. It's a watermelon apple.